On this episode, we talked to Wade Myers, broker-owner of Hoosier Brokers. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Celebrate Columbus show. My name is Josh Burnett, and as you can see, we've got a very well-dressed guest today. I'm really excited. I've known this guy for a long time. He's a great guy. I'm sure many of you have seen him before. He's not wearing his cowboy hat today, but great guy. I'm really excited to talk to you about some real estate and specifically helping Columbus grow through real estate. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Wade Myers. I've been a realtor here in Columbus for 27 years now. Married to Dawn Myers, 13, 14 years now, and we've got a couple kids, and Stone and Olivia, and just been part of the community. I was born and raised here, so I've been here my entire life, except for the short period of time when I was at college.
Awesome. Well, this guy knows Columbus, and he's going to be answering your questions about real estate today. So let's get into the show. Wade, why do you love being in the real estate business?
It's tough work. It's not easy, and not everybody can do it. It's a lot of details. For me, I'm wired for it. Nothing's the same in any given day, even though you're doing the basic same, listing contract and whatnot. You're dealing with different people, different personalities, different outcomes. Things just happen. Different dollar amounts on houses. So it's just even though the paperwork's basically the same, your day's never the same. And so I enjoy that part of it. But probably one of the best experiences I had, believe it or not, was selling an $8,000 house. $8,000, you heard me correctly. Yeah, I got called out to a family, and they wanted to buy this house that's set behind them, and it was pretty rough, but they were wanting to leave a legacy for their grandchildren. And I was pretty new in the career. I think I was in my first couple years in the business. And I ended up taking those people through 26 banks before we got them approved for that loan. And we ended up borrowing off his 401k and doing it that way. But I got a big kick out of that. I mean, I didn't make any money off of it, but I got a big kick out of that. I helped them get where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
So, everybody talks about the big stuff and, that's that kind of stuff. But that one always has stood out to be, my favorite deal.
And I would think, like you were saying, it's different every day. You'd have to love people to be doing what you do. Yeah,
it's trying sometimes. And real estate, for the most part, can be emotional a lot of times because people have raised their kids in the house.
Right.
There may have been a death in the family or a marriage or, somebody was deceased. I mean, you just never know what's going to come at you in that. But emotion plays a big part of it.
For sure.
I always train my staff that, if you're building a new home, you're also almost a marriage counselor for a while because, and I take a piece of paper out, I lay it in front of people who are building a home, draw what your dream home is. And it's funny, they almost do the same thing. Little boys draw 2-story brick homes and kind of a traditional home, and little girls will generally have a pond and puppy dogs in the yard and kids playing and some trees in the yard, more of a country type setting, and those two don't match. So we have a discussion about that in the beginning, that you're going to have different thoughts and she's going to have different thoughts, and we need to come together with that and glue that together so that it becomes a home that they want of their dreams, but both of their dreams together.
Yeah. And also, you said the emotional side of it. These people, most of them who are trusting you to represent them are making the biggest investment that they'll probably ever make in their lives, correct?
Exactly.
And so, how have you learned, I would think it's both an art and a science to do what you do.
Believe it or not, when I was a kid in school and whatnot, I was kind of quiet, bashful, stayed to myself, really didn't like the limelight and the crowds. This is something that I've learned to do. So it's real estate. That's what I said. It just became who I am, and it's just developed me as a person from dealing with different people and different groups of people in how I work every day. There's nothing really that, this was the one thing that made me this person. It was just over time I became a little more extroverted and started getting into the cowboy hat to be known, and that was a marketing event that just
Right.
took off, and it's been so big that everybody knows me by that cowboy hat.
Yeah.
So we, it was just a one-time marketing event, but it stayed with me my entire career. So
That's awesome. So Wade, the question that everybody wants to know is, what is the benefit of a realtor over a for sale by owner? And give us the truth, okay?
Okay,
Tell us
yeah.
the truth.
Believe it or not, I literally just left my office from putting together a for sale by owner deal that a buyer and the seller had gotten together, and they realized that they had gotten to a point where neither one knew what to do next. Basically what we bring to the table is security. That's a big one. If you're for sale by owner, you don't know who's walking up to that door, or maybe the husband's at work and the wife's home, or maybe the husband's already been transferred out of the state and the wife's home alone and she's trying to show the property, and they just never think about who's actually coming in that house and what could happen. So we provide that security we've already talked to that buyer, we know who they are, we know something about them, their address, we've generally had them to a bank. The bank has had a time to know who they are, look at their social security, or credit score, and be able to know who that person is. So if anything would happen, they're going to be shied away because we're asking too many personal questions. So that's why you don't see a lot of trouble in the media about that. So security is one of those things. The other is, picking good inspectors. You want the property to be inspected and checked out well. And believe it or not, that's what we want. We don't want any hidden surprises underneath, because, and it also is another benefit when you think about it, as not to use it for sale by owner, is if there's a lawsuit after the sale, we're the first ones that get called. And so it's our paperwork that comes to the table, and we're representing them almost kind of like an attorney at a point. We meet with the attorney and we provide the paperwork, and we walk through that. So, and I've been to court in several real estate deals, explaining, how the process and which paperwork came about and which addendum went with what, so that the judge can understand the circumstances completely. So that's another is avoiding litigation after the sale. Because people don't realize the average lawsuit starts 2 years after the sale and starts at $10,000. So it's usually one thing that happens. The sump pump quits working and they're kicking the tire, and then something else goes wrong and the ceiling fan quits, and then pretty soon it's like that last straw, and then they start coming unglued. But with the way the process is set up with realtors, we've got a listing contract, we've got a purchase agreement, and then we have the addendums and the process, the inspectors signing off on those inspections, and checking things out. So if we find something like mold, or we hear anything in an inspection that really brings their attention to something, we're going to go the extra mile to get that checked out.
Right.
Where a for sale by owner is going to downplay it, and the buyer really doesn't. They're novice. They really don't know they really don't know what those key words are, and so they could get into a serious problem quick and not realize that they've done themselves damage until down the road. So those are just a couple of the things that would be different between a for sale by owner and using a professional.
And the one thing I'm thinking about, I've had family members who have done it both ways, for sale by owner and having a realtor. I mean, this is your 24/7 job to represent them, to market their home, to bring buyers, all these things that, from 8 to 5 every day, a family or a career person, that's what they're focused on.
Right.
This is what you do for them.
Yeah, and just going on that line of just experience, earlier this spring we had a little bubble in the market that happened, and I realized it immediately, as well as a lot of realtors that are working 24/7 on this stuff. that you could get more for your house. So I had listed a property and called the guy and said, I know we agreed on the price, but I think we can get $5,000 to $10,000 more here if we run with it. Of course, they're okay with it, and we ended up getting 5 more for the house in the long run. And then what was interesting was, as you looked at the market statistics for that time period down the road, there was actually a time where people were selling their house more than what the list price was. So it's actually showing now in the statistics, and that's something that people don't think about, is
Right.
we are in tune with what's going on in the marketplace because we're spending so much time studying the market and knowing what's going on as the stats, that we can take advantage of those things when they're available.
Wade, what do you love about Columbus?
Columbus is a unique community. There's a lot of things going on here. I remember when I was a kid, it was people kind of joked around, but Columbus kind of thought bigger of themselves than we really were. So we were a small rural community that did a lot of big city things, and I think that's exciting. I like the fact that we're a small community. I like knowing people who live down the street and across the street, and seeing people I know when I walk in the stores. I could not imagine living in a big city where I could go days and not run into somebody that I knew. That's always been important to me. I've always enjoyed Columbus because of that.
Well, Wade, I want to thank you so much for being on the Celebrate Columbus show. It was awesome to learn more about real estate, your business, and really your love for community. And that story about your grandma, that was awesome.
Thank you.
And what was her name again?
Margaretta.
Man, Margaretta was a good lady. Before we go, we like to ask a question of the day, and this is something that you guys can answer in the comments. Wade, if you could ask Columbus any question, what would your question of the day be?
What was the average sales price of a home in Columbus in 1975?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. Where? So they're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to do a little research or give them some homework. And in the comments, if you get the correct answer, the first correct answer, we at the Celebrate Columbus show will give you a prize. Make sure to look that up. And I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of the Celebrate Columbus show. Thank you, Wade, for being here,
My
man.
pleasure.
Hey, you guys keep asking questions, and we'll keep celebrating Columbus together.